I'm Michael Pontecorvo. Welcome to Laguna Woods Publishing Club's Storytelling in September. For the next 60 minutes, 5 Laguna Woods writers will read from stories that they have written. The pieces range from real-life adventures to poetic descriptions of personal experiences. My hope is you will enjoy hearing these authors read their own compositions and that you will find them engaging, intriguing, and memorable. So, without further ado, let's begin.
Hi, I'm Dr. Michael Marshildon. I was blessed to be a pediatric general surgeon for over 40 years. The story I'm about to tell happened in my first few months at Stanford Medical School. The title is Gross Anatomy and Maryland. There we were, 71 self-assured, fashionable, brilliant doctors-to-be, and one hopeless geek with 0 social skills. It was the freshman medical student welcome reception. Most of my classmates' outfits screamed New York designer, while mine whispered West Frankfort, Illinois, population 7,000, clearance rack. In the first half hour, I had already learned a bit about Stanford and a bit about a few of my classmates. Stanford's beverage for the reception was sickly sweet Hawaiian punch with no alcohol in sight. Maybe it was an early test. If we could keep down Hawaiian punch, then maybe we wouldn't throw up in the OR or in anatomy lab. Clever. A stocky classmate in a garish Hawaiian shirt introduced himself as Harry. He said he was a cardiac surgeon to be and almost broke the bones in my hand when he shook it. I didn't know the names of the bones yet, just that they hurt. He tried to dazzle me with a lecture on cardiac physiology, to which I replied, the heart's in the chest, right? Nick was better looking than me and more muscular, but we bonded immediately. He was the kind of guy that I could share a pitcher of beer with, or 3. And then I saw her. She was one of the few high fashion attire exceptions. She stood out, a lanky brunette with a thin face and pointed chin. She wore a long black dress with a tiny embroidered rose over her tiny right breast. She reminded me of the Wicked Witch of the West. When she charged at me, I tried to slip behind Nick, but she zeroed in. Her handshake was softer than Harry's, thank God, though a bit moist. Reading my name tag, she began, "Hello, Mike, I'm Marilyn. I majored in philosophy at Harvard and graduated with a 4.0 GPA. Where did you go to school?" "Notre Dame," I said, trying not to sound defensive. "That's nice. Sorry about their football teams the past few years. What was your major?" "Chemistry," I said, thinking a real major, not liberal arts pablum. My GPA was 5.85. For whatever reason, Notre Dame had a 6.0 grading system. It made no sense, but it did come in handy on the rare occasions I met the Marilyns of the world. "That's nice," she replied. "But didn't you find chemistry, well, a bit stifling? I mean, science is fine and all, and we are going into medicine, but I always found science courses so, well, narrow," she said with a half grimace, as if the thought was distasteful. "I never felt I could be well-rounded if I took too many science courses." I let this sink in. I didn't know if I could out-brazen Maryland, but I gave it a shot. I took every science and math course I could sign up for. I was always afraid that if I was too well-rounded, I wouldn't have a point. "No point?" She looked puzzled. Then her face lit up. "Oh, I get it. That was a joke." Marilyn made a feeble attempt at a fake smile, but her clenched jaw gave her away. Yep, she wanted to kill me. Her tight lips formed a slit like a surgery incision. No blood dribbled from her mouth, but I guess that was reserved for a full moon. Well, it was nice talking to you, Mike. I must go meet other classmates now. Be seeing you. I hope not. As I watched Marilyn walk briskly away, I decided right then that the Wicked Witch was much more likable. Nick asked, "Who the hell was that?" "Marilyn. Did she major in undertaking?" "Philosophy, but they're both about dead people, so you were close." At that point, I felt I had my classmates pegged. Harry was the most arrogant, Marilyn the most obnoxious, Nick the most fun, and me the most judgmental. A few days later, we began gross anatomy. We entered a large, dark room in the bowels of the medical school. Small, high windows let in shrubbery-filtered light. The bodies, covered with thick plastic sheets, were laid out on 2 parallel rows of wooden tables. The dangling lights over each table made the room look like a gloomy pool hall, but the smell was formaldehyde, not cigar smoke. The body mounds were long, short, obese, with some so thin the sheets were almost flush with the table. An occasional foot, some with painted toenails, stuck out from the plastic. The temperature was around 50 degrees. Everyone was shivering, or maybe they were trembling. All we were missing was the crypt keeper. The teaching assistant lined us up in groups of 4 by each table. Professor Katz, a tiny older physician with thinning gray hair, asked for our attention. His voice was soft but carried to every corner. "Students, welcome to gross anatomy. For the next 4 months, you will be working with the bodies of real people. These aren't department store mannequins, but individuals who once lived and breathed just as you are doing. Some were even physicians like you will become. All voluntarily donated their bodies to Stanford to be used for the education of you privileged students. Be grateful for their gift. Be respectful of their remains." He paused to let his words sink in. His voice rose. "You may now begin your dissections." Nick picked up the large scalpel. "Mike, you're the surgeon. You make the first cut." "Sure," I said, trying to sound casual. The Wicked Witch was at the next table, watching me out of the corner of her eye. I damn well better not throw up. If I did, I knew where to aim. Fortunately, those who donated their bodies never knew what jerks we medical students were. The powerful words of Professor Katz about respect made an impression that lasted about a week. We soon began making irreverent, profane jokes about our cadavers. Teams gave their cadavers names, often disrespectful, sometimes pornographic. We may have been trying to distract ourselves from the fact that we were cutting into human bodies on wooden tables. There may have been some profound psychological explanation for our behavior. My theory is that we were just behaving like young jerks. It was time for our first exam. Quizzes in gross anatomy were practical, not written. On the morning of the test, long before we arrived, the instructors would pass from table to table, reviewing our work. Choosing the best dissections, they would place a colored pin here or paper arrow there for the exam. The students would then be brought in and would rotate from cadaver to cadaver to identify a flagged nerve or muscle or a blood vessel. The instructors were smart, but we were devious. Devious trumps smart every time. On the night before the exam, we conducted our own rounds as a group. We inspected each dissection and quizzed each other about the identity of the various anatomic structures. Marilyn, who knew everything, was the only one who didn't join us during our evening procession. That didn't stop us from examining her dissection and treating it just like everyone else's. Alan, being the second smartest person in the class, led the way. "What do you think that nerve is?" he asked. pointing to a white structure winding between the back muscles. Maybe the rhomboid nerve or the nerve to the trapezius. Looks weird to me. I bet it's anomalous, don't you? Harry responded. Hell, I don't know what's normal, so how should I know what's anomalous? Nick replied. What do you think? Alan asked. Trash it, came the chorus. Alan whipped out a pair of scissors, cut out the confusing nerve, and pitched it in the wastebasket so he wouldn't be quizzed on it. By the time we finished with the last cadaver and Alan had cut out every structure that we couldn't agree on, the wastebasket was nearly full. We probably could have constructed a whole new body, a la Frankenstein, from our discards. The next morning, we assembled in the anatomy room, standing next to our dissections. Marilyn looked over her work and was pleased that her cadaver had more colored pins and paper arrows than anyone's. Being Marilyn, she expected as much. A satisfied smirk crossed her face. When she looked closer, she let out a shriek. Where the hell is my thoracodorsal nerve? She shouted. We all looked at each other and thought the same thing. So that's what that damn white thing was. No one had the heart to tell her that it was on the way to the landfill. Nick couldn't resist. Are you sure you had it with you when you came in, Marilyn? He inquired with a straight face. Marilyn turned to glare at him. If she had been a superhero instead of just thinking she was, her glare would have vaporized Nick. I buried my head in my dissection and inhaled formaldehyde to keep from giggling. When Marilyn wasn't looking, I gave Nick a high five. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Gail Slayton and I write poetry. The poems I'm reading today are about a dear friend of mine from Tucson, Arizona, during her final year of life. She died when she was 59 years old. My first poem is titled, For the Love of a Friend. I was in the process of coming back to life. She was fighting to stay alive. My search was for meaning and connection. Her demon, the fear of letting go. Travel, she said, be my eyes and ears, bring back stories of faraway places. I wanted to stay, take in every moment, and be her companion on her journey home. She turned away, pushing me to go. I'll be waiting, she said. I'll be with you in spirit. I traveled to Europe, exploring wines in France, Picasso in Spain, spices in Marrakesh. I brought back pictures and stories, exotic treats. Her face lit up from her chair. I traveled cross-country, saw the White House, Broadway plays, and felt Woodstock's own rhythm. I brought back stories of hippie days, immigrants' struggles, government pomp and circumstance. She smiled from her bed, small and fragile, body weak, spirit still fighting. We both left Tucson in summer, she to the coast of Oregon, to feel the ocean once more and surround her final days with old friends. I started my yearly tour from LA to Seattle. Nomad life of visiting my family, full suitcase and heart. The need was strong to see her once more, to be in her world in Yachats, a small coastal village. I arrived just in time. Without words, she lay in bed, took my hand to her lips, giving a kiss of recognition. I got to know her true self in that momentary gesture. She seemed content. Her spirit was home. And through her eyes, I saw the Oregon beaches, quaint sleepy town, peacefulness of nature. I'm back in Tucson now. She found her final resting place. I'll bring her spirit with me as I walk the All Souls procession in her memory. This next poem is about my grieving for my lost friend. Its title is The Offering Tree. Deep in the forest stood the tree of all trees, the mother, the tree of life, surrounded by a field of golden energy. It gleamed in the filtered sunlight, beckoning her to come closer. She had a heavy heart, grieving for her lost friend taken too soon. Coming upon this magnificent tree, she opened her arms and hugged the trunk. Tears spilled out. Wailing began. The tree offered its strength and presence for her to be seen and heard. She wasn't alone. The tree offered its healing energy for her to feel compassion and peace. After a long while, she stepped back, acknowledging the tree's gifts. She thanked the tree for holding her pain until it transmuted to joy of remembrance, which she carried home with a full heart. Thank you for listening. And yes, the tree is real.
Hi, I'm Ann Himes, and I'm going to read an essay for you called Serving Up a Loan. Mortgage loan interest rates had reached 18% in the 1980s, just a few years after I began selling real estate as an agent. I was a single mother with 2 young children. My husband had left me, and living on commissions was a new challenge that loomed large. "Shall I start clearing out closets?" my mother asked wryly, offering a safety net from several states away. I was determined to figure out my path forward and provide for my family. But roadblocks popped up like wolves lying in wait. I could not even get a credit card in my own name, which sounds ridiculous in this time of being deluged with application offers. But women then still needed mail backup or guarantees. A single woman was a bad bet. My father called the bank president, and a card arrived in the mail. Real estate was like a roller coaster in the 80s, and I questioned the wisdom of pursuing a career of uncertainty and risk. My husband and I had renovated historic properties for a living in Old Town, Alexandria, Virginia, and real estate had seeped into my blood. Family and friends encouraged me to get a nice, safe job at a bank, but the thrill of the chase and opportunities for creative deals kept at bay any interest in the security of a steady paycheck and regular hours. I would take a chance on the long game for 30 years, first as a real estate agent and then a broker. Being self-employed and living on commission provides flexibility, fear, and fun. What I sacrificed in security, I picked up in unexpected times with my children. I was able to attend their programs during the day and generally be home when the school bus arrived after school. My schedule was my own, except when contract negotiation required fast action and response. There is urgency in a competitive real estate market. But in the 80s, creeping interest rates slowed the sale of properties, and the market stalled, creating economic instability. Many agents left the business. My choice seemed to be to get creative or get lost. In those days of stagnant possibilities, I tried new marketing ideas. I offered a donation to the local high school college scholarship fund for every transaction. I wrote ads with more engaging hooks. For example, wanted 12-year-old millionaire for a house with quirky built-ins and a fireman's pole. I reduced commissions. Trying to find a listing for a buyer in a specific neighborhood, I wrote a letter to each homeowner on bright pink paper. One woman responded that she received lots of solicitations to sell, but loved the pink letter. I sold her house. My favorite burst of creative wrangling, however, came with a first-time buyer. She was fresh out of medical school and had a load of school debt. We found the perfect house, but she could not seem to qualify for financing with her new job, and we had run out of conventional options with banks and mortgage brokers. The system was not even interested in taking a chance with a single woman, even a doctor. In desperation, I met with the president of the small homegrown family bank that had helped with my credit card. "You need to think long-term," I urged. "She would be a wonderful customer of the bank." I pleaded my case and then closed with an emphatic, "What can I do to get this loan?" Silence. I waited, hoping I could somehow bypass loan committees, income ratios, normal rules and limitations. The man of singular power leaned back in his squeaky chair, stroked his long handlebar mustache a couple of times, and then turned to his bright green parrot on an open perch. "What do you think, Runyon?" I held my breath, wondering if my fate lay with the twitch of a bird. "Well," continued the eccentric president in slow, deliberate words, as he turned stone-faced to me, "I like salmon." Salmon. The solution to my problem was a culinary one, and I was anxious to rise to the occasion. I left his office and went straight to the Italian restaurant down the street and borrowed a large copper pot to poach fish. A commercial client of mine imported seafood, and I bought a huge Norwegian salmon. Having never poached a fish in my life, I found a recipe that sounded reasonable and straddled the pot across several burners on my stove. I was cooking up a miracle. The next morning, I arrived back at the bank with an elegant silver platter holding my offering to the gods of long shots, a beautiful glazed salmon with sauces and lemon. When I entered the president's office, he looked up with a slight smile and said simply, "You've got your loan." Runyon squawked and flapped his wings. I took it as approval. Creativity and persistence had gotten the loan for my client, but there was also special meaning for me, and here's the story. When I first started in real estate, after being unexpectedly cast in the role of breadwinner, I was frightened for my ability to survive. Was I disregarding common sense and good choices for my children by choosing to live on commission? Was I flirting with failure? The future looked bleak. I trusted my talent, but was uncertain if the waves of economic gloom would swallow me up. How long could I survive the death knell of the 80s? The commission from my very first sale was $2,200, a big amount in those days, and a welcome answer to bills and stress. Passing an antique shop near my office, however, I saw a beautiful antique sterling silver tea service on a grand platter in the window. I took my entire commission and bought that shiny tea service. What seemed a foolish and irresponsible move represented to me the hope for the future, the possibility of beauty and grace for my young family, optimism in adversity. It was a talisman that we would be all right, that good was in store for us. And so it has proved to be.
everybody. My name is Jack Mullen. I'm going to tell you a story today about a criminal case that I worked on the San Diego Police Department. I was working in the San Diego Police Department's Criminal Intelligence Unit. The same place I was working when I told you the story about providing protection for the Prince of Wales, now King Charles, when he visited our city. This day was a Friday, August 9th, 1974, 49 long years ago. Secretary Lena Kent said, "Sergeant Mullen, the chief is on the line for you." What have I done this time? Chief Ray Hubler calling a sergeant directly? "Yes, Chief. You want me to go to Steakhouse Il Meglio and talk to Anthony Pappas." Okay, because a woman walked into his office, said she wanted her husband killed, and asked Mr. Pappas to find a hitman for her. "Yes, I got it, Chief. You say Pappas ushered her out of his office and phoned you." Well, murders for hire. That was a job for my team, all right. We had worked serial burglars, serial rapists, a bunch of stuff. Want your wife killed or your Uncle Louie knocked off? We're the people who can help you. I went to see Mr. Pappas, member of a prominent San Diego family, owners of several businesses, plus a racetrack in Mexico. Some people believe the Pappas family were organized crime figures, part of the mafia. As a cop working in criminal intelligence, I knew they were not. They were successful businessmen. Yes, a few brushes with the law, involving some white-collar crime. Yes, that happened. So, Anthony Pappas told me that a few months before, a woman named Norma Winters had closed an escrow for him in El Centro, California, 100 miles east of San Diego. And he had sent flowers to the staff as a gesture of thanks. An hour ago, Winters had walked unannounced into his office. Could he find someone to kill her husband? He kicked her out of the office, called the chief of police. I got the escrow company phone number from Mr. Pappas's secretary. When I got back to my office, I looked around the room. I chose Detective Ron Zerbe, that's Z-E-R-B-E. He was going to be my rent-a-killer. Ron and I went back to patrol days together. He was tall, goateed, mischievous gleam in his eye at all times. Ron made a tape-recorded phone call to Norma Winters. "My name is Al from San Diego. I understand there's something you want done." After a bit of discussion and hesitation on her part, Norma Winters said they should meet Tuesday, August 13th at noon at a Denny's restaurant off of Interstate 8 in El Centro. I picked 5 of my detectives, each in their own undercover car. "We are going to El Centro," I told them. "It's going to be hot. Bring your toothbrush and a bathing suit." On a case like this, you never knew where it would lead you. And in surveillance work, the more cards, the better. We checked in with the lieutenant of detectives at the Imperial County Sheriff's Department and got their blessing to operate in their territory. And they gave us a detective to work along with my team. Denny's was connected to a nice hotel with a bar and grill. Ron Zerby, who would be known as Al this day, was in the bar getting loose for his appointment with Norma Winters in the adjoining restaurant. Ray Albright was in our undercover van monitoring the on-body recorder that Al wore. Windows closed tight, no air conditioning, 114 degrees outside. The van was a steam bath. I stepped in to check on Ray. The meeting was half an hour away yet. Ray Albright is a big guy. He had stripped to his jockey shorts. He is bald. Sweat rolled down onto his face. When people rag him about being bald, he tells the cops in the squad room that a man loses exactly one hair every time he makes love. Is it going okay, Ray? Fine, Sergeant, but when this case is over, I'm going to kill Zerby. What's the matter, Ray? What's the matter? Take a listen, what's the matter? He handed me the headset. I listened. Zerby's voice. Zerby knowing Ray was listening to his every word. Bartender, a few more ice cubes for my scotch, and could you turn the air conditioner down just a bit? It's getting a little chilly. The meeting with Zerby and Norma Winters went fine. As agreed on the phone call, she brought pictures of her husband, pictures of his car, some front money for Al, a sketch of the route that her husband drove to work. Norma Winters was curious. Who sent you? Al brushed off the question. Why do you want me to kill him? Norma Winters said he had been molesting their 18-year-old daughter for 6 years. She had just found out about it. He's a U.S. Customs officer, Al. He goes to work at midnight at the Calexico border. Are you sure you want to do this job? I'd kill your mother if the price was right, Al told her on the tape recording. I decided we would let Norma drive back to the escrow company. A short time later, I and the Imperial County detective walked in on her. We received information that your husband may be in danger. I said, we heard somebody may want to harm him. Do you know anything about that? Norma Winters said she was shocked to hear that news. Okay, I said, we need you to come to the sheriff's office so we can interview you. Get more information from you. We really need your help, Mrs. Winters. She willingly came. Said she could not believe what she was hearing. We Mirandized her. She waved. She denied everything. Ron Zerby walked into the room right on schedule, his badge hooked onto his belt. Hi, Mrs. Winters. I knew you were a damn cop, she said. So she confessed to us on tape. She told us her husband had been molesting their teenage daughter. The Imperial County detective and I drove to the Atkins house in Holtzville, 10 miles from El Centro. A 12-year-old boy came to the door. We're cops, son. We need to see your father. The kid took us into the kitchen. Bruce Winters was sitting on a stool hairy, barrel-chested guy. His only clothing? A pair of boxer shorts. I had the feeling that might be his regular uniform around the house. "What do you guys want?" Bruce Winters said. He struck me as the kind of guy that could irritate you just by saying good morning to you. We pivoted and pretended we were leaving. Over my shoulder, I said, "Nothing that important, we're cops. We just arrested your wife for hiring one of my undercover detectives to kill you. Give us a call tomorrow if you have any questions. We're out of here." Of course, he went bananas. "No, you gotta be kidding." "What?" "No, I never touched my daughter. She's in San Diego right now with her relatives." I called my office, arranged for a detective to interview the daughter. Nice try, but the relatives would not allow my detective to speak with her. Someone had gotten to them already. Well, while Norma Winters was getting her cell assignment in the Imperial County Jail, my team spent San Diego's per diem meal money in the hotel bar. So, we would not be allowed to interview the 18-year-old daughter. Well, we'd go with what we had. Were Norma and her daughter being truthful about the molesting? We would put it all into the courtroom stew pot and see how it came out. 72 hours later, on August 16th, Bruce Winters shot and killed himself. He left a handwritten note for his son. Told his son it was fitting that he shot himself on this farm where, well, it was there where he and Norma had first been happy. Emphasized to his son he had not done the things he was being accused of. Told his son to grow up to be a good man. So how did the case come out? Well, that's why I'm here today. The defense attorney, Milton J. Silverman, one of the very best, convinced the jury that Norma Winters had been under a hypnotic spell when she solicited the murder. Therefore, she could not form the intent to commit a crime. It was the first time hypnosis had been successfully used as a criminal defense in California. The jury's verdict? Not guilty. In 1981, W.W. Norton in New York City published a hardcover book that Silverman wrote. The title, Open and Shut. The paperback version is still available on Amazon. Well, that's my story. Read the book if you're inclined. Because it was a not guilty verdict, Silverman, the author, and Jack Mullen, the storyteller, we changed our names out of respect for the family involved. And I thank you for listening to my story.
Hi, I'm Sunshine Ludi, and I have two poems that are based on reality for you today, and then a fantasy story that has some reality in it too. 1998, I'm living a dream. Oh, I was quite sure it just couldn't be. I couldn't believe it had happened to me. Romance is for books. It's pure fantasy where you find your true love and you live happily. But into my world of reality came a live walking dream. He was talking to me. I couldn't believe it had happened to me, this fairy tale theme. I'm living a dream. Together for life was just what we planned as I talked to my love and I accepted his hand. We shared all our dreams, school, work, family. Then we started our lives and we lived fearlessly. And so my sweet love and I continued to fly. We walked hand in hand with dreams to the sky. I didn't believe it could happen to me, this fairy tale theme. I'm living a dream. And although I'm alone now, I experienced this fairy tale magic twice in my life. First with Lloyd, and then with David. What will I do? This is 2023. What will I do? Where will I go? I must confess, I really don't know. Might go to Vegas, I could drive. With family there, I would thrive. What else might I do? I have skills to revive. Music and writing will keep me alive. In Colorado and Wisconsin, with family might visit. Could be fun there, at least for a little bit. With family and friends, could take a cruise. Might chase away depression and blues. Some good ideas, but I really don't know. What will I do? Where will I go? I must confess, I really don't know. The lonely glass. When David was still with me, I tried to find a gentle way to encourage him to carry his empty glass from the kitchen sink on his way from the couch to the bedroom. I told him, honey, think about how lonely this glass gets sitting all night by itself. David responded, not quite how I wanted, but his answer caught my imagination. That sounds like a good title for a story, The Lonely Glass. I thought about it. I just might write that story. And I did. And here it is. I am a clear 12-ounce glass, and this is my story. David did it again. He got up from the couch and left me sitting on the corner table. I spoke loudly. Please leave the light on. Perhaps he didn't hear me. The room was totally dark. I continued talking. You know, the kinds of molecules that course through your body? Well, I have similar kinds of molecules, and I get lonely. In fact, I'm lonely most every night. As I sat in the pitch black room, my body began to adjust to the darkness. I could see tiny lights glowing on the silent TV and on other electronic equipment. I looked around me and found I wasn't truly alone. Sunshine had left her tall cup just 6 feet away. I had never attempted to speak to Sunshine's cup. I pondered. If I talk, will Sunshine's cup hear me? Well, I guess I won't know unless I try. I gathered my courage. Hey there, Sunshine's cup, can you hear me? I waited a long minute. Then I tried again. I raised my voice and shouted. Hey, you don't have to yell, and my name is not Sunshine's cup. Oh, I'm so glad you heard me. What is your name? Sunshine calls me Songster. What's your name? I don't remember having a name, but you can call me Shimmer. I like having company. It would be nice to see you better, but I can't seem to move. Can you move? No, I can't move either. But we can use imagination. I know you've seen me sitting here when the light was on. Just use your imagination and you'll see me clearly. My what? Your imagination. I call it I am. You know, like when you said it would be really nice to see me better, you started to use your I am. If you concentrate hard on your memory of seeing me, your I am will kick in and you will really see me. I'm trying. Oh, I do. This is so great. How do you know about imagination? I am. Well, I don't know, but I've probably used I am forever. Otherwise, I'd be bored. You know, Shimmer, I discovered a wonderful extension of I am. I was in the bedroom and overheard a conversation between David and Sunshine. He invited her to go to Paris on his magic carpet. They were lying in bed, and she agreed. Then I heard them talking about all the sights they were seeing in Paris. That's how I learned about the magic carpet. Can you see the beautiful blanket on Sunshine's chair? Wouldn't you like to fly with me on my magic carpet? Use your I am. All you need to do is take 3 steps toward me and you'll be ready to go. I'm already standing on it. I see it. I'm worried because you're still on the table and your magic carpet doesn't look very sturdy. If I fall, I'll break. Oh, Shimmer, remember, this is I am. We're only imagining. During our I am journeys, you can only get hurt if you imagine getting hurt. Okay, here I come, songster. Hey, I really like standing close to you on your magic carpet. Where should we go? Well, I was in the kitchen with Sunshine yesterday. She was talking to herself. She does that a lot, you know. She said she would like to see Victoria Falls. Have you heard of it? Yeah, David was listening to TV. I discovered it's located on the Zambezi River in Africa. Shall we go there? Let's do it. Are you ready? Off we go! Songster, I am scaring me. We're flying too fast and too high. I don't like it. No problem, Shimmer. You're in control. Take us a little lower, a little slower. But listen, I hear the roar. Can you see the beautiful falls? No, Songster, no, I don't like it. I'm scared. Okay, Shimmer, new plan. We'll ride our magic carpet to the ocean beach. We'll land on the sand. In fact, here we are. Oh, I love it, Songster. Let's just sit here and listen to the crashing waves. Shimmer, that's my favorite thing to do. We'll stay until the tide starts to come in. They stayed for several hours at Laguna Beach, enjoying the sights and sounds while watching surfers ride the waves. Songster, the waves are coming closer. I think we should go. Let's do it, Shimmer. Here we go. Whee! We're back on our tables. Did you have fun? Oh, yes, Songster. What an adventure. Can we do it again? Well, when David leaves you on his table and Sunshine leaves me on her table, we'll fly to many exotic places. Oh, thank you, Songster, for introducing me to I Am. You know, I'll never be lonely again. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed the show and were informed and entertained. Many people think about writing a book or a poem, but never get around to it. The Publishing Club is a place to get the support, knowledge, and resources to begin and sustain that process. Your stories can make a difference. Write them down and share them. If you would like more information on the authors in this show and where their books are available, please visit our website, Pub Club LW. The website also contains an application to join the publishing club and useful information on how you can publish your own writing. We hope you will attend the annual Authors Forum on Wednesday, October 18, in Clubhouse 3, the Performing Arts Center. It will be from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. Many Laguna Woods writers will be there, their books ready to tell you how they did it. We are glad you could join us for this second edition of Storytelling in September. And until next time, goodbye.